Hey everyone, it is Dr. Michelle Mazer. I'm so happy that you're here for the Speak Up for Your Business webinar slash live virtual party for my book launch. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm excited that you are with me today. Before we launch in, because I have a lot of fun things planned. We're going to talk a little bit about book writing. We're going to talk about the content in the book and the presentation secrets to help you speak up for your business. Of course, there's going to be giveaways throughout the webinar today. So I'm really excited about that part. I haven't gotten to do giveaways quite yet. But before we start, a few housekeeping rules or things to keep in mind. So please use the chat box. In fact, if you just want to take a moment and say hi and where you're from, that would be awesome. And now that I have asked that question, I will also tell you that Webinar Jam is a very interesting platform to use because since it is based on Google Hangouts, what ends up happening is there's about a 30 to 45 second delay between when I say something and when you actually hear it. So I just asked everyone to, say hi, right where they're from, and now it's time to wait. And now we have our first one. So Tracy says hi from Chester, Virginia. Well, hello, Tracy. Thank you for joining. And we have, it's Elizabeth in Issaquah, who I actually know. Hey, Liz. Jonathan is here from Chicago, and Vicky in Texas, and another Vicky. I know one of these Vickies is someone I went to high school with, so that's super interesting. And Joni from Los Angeles. And Sam in Philly. I'm so glad you're here, Sam. And hey, Lisa. Wow, so we have people from all over the U.S., Toledo, Ohio. I'm originally from Buffalo, New York, so that's kind of my old stomping grounds. Well, I'm so excited that you guys are here to join me for this. And I wanted to get started. And I want to encourage you, please ask questions and use the chat throughout. I'll be looking over every time there's a transition. So if you have a question, please use the chat and I will answer you for sure. But I wanted to start with telling you a little bit about my journey with my book, Speak Up for Your Business, because I know that there are a lot of entrepreneurs on this call. And you might be thinking, well, a great way to promote my business is to write a book, and what does that process look like? And for me, the process of writing this book was a process of two failed books that finally led to this third book. And so the original book started out as a book called Imperfect Communication, and imperfect was spelled with a K. And that book to me was all about embracing your foibles and flaws and failures and screw-ups as a communicator and pushing through that to get your message out anyway. And as I started to write the book, it became really clear to me that I wasn't really sure who I was writing it for, and I didn't have a great story arc. So I didn't know where I was exactly going with the book. So I set the book aside and decided to do another book, and that was going to be called Message Moxie, because I love the word moxie because it's all about gumption and skill and being brave. And that was going to be about storytelling. And it didn't really work out either for the exact same reasons. I wasn't sure who I was writing the book for. And the great news is when you start failing at writing a book, you are at least writing and you're getting content. And for this book, Speak Up for Your Business, I realized that I was serving a lot of entrepreneurs in my business, and there weren't really any books out there that was specifically written from for them. Like, there were no great books about public speaking and entrepreneurship. So I wanted to write a book for entrepreneurs and how entrepreneurs can use public speaking to promote their business, but in a different way that was out there. And luckily, I was able to use everything that a lot of the content from Imperfect Communication and Message Moxie, and those are in the book. So like the whole first section of the book is about embracing your flaws and your failures and your foibles and getting your message out there and how to overcome all of that stuff that happens in our brain. And there's a whole section on storytelling as well. So I'm really excited that this is finally out of here and into everyone's hands. So thank you for celebrating with me. And before we launch into the content, I am going to do the very first giveaway, which is a free Kindle copy of my book that I will send to you. So I'm using a random number generator, and that's going to pick who is the winner of the book. So it is, and I have you guys all listed here, so it's number 11. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And I'm going to butcher your name. It's Masood, M-A-S-O-O-D. You're the first winner of a free copy of my book on Kindle. So congratulations. Oh, I hope it's Masood. I'm so sorry if I'm totally messing that up. And what I'm going to have all of the winners do is just email me after the webinar is over. So congratulations, Masood. You are the first person to win. So now I'm going to change over and get into the content of the book. Oh yes, Masood's here. Great. Congratulations. So I'm going to start the screen share. And what I wanted to do with the content that I'm giving you today is to give you a little bit about the framework of the book, but also actionable insight that you can take away and start working on today in your business. So I am pleased to present you with, it's really my framework for how you can start speaking up for your business. Because when I started writing this book for entrepreneurs, I was super frustrated with what I was seeing out there from selling from the stage. And you know, people talk about their signature talk or how to sell from the stage. And for me, it was all about these high pressured sales tactics. And to give you an example, and I'm not going to name names, but I went to a 2-day marketing workshop. And the one thing I wanted to know from this marketing workshop was how to create a call to action. And the person facilitating said, okay, yeah, we're going to be talking about how to create a call to action. We'll be talking about it later. We're talking about it tomorrow. And then pretty much we had 2 hours left of the workshop. And what happened was, if we wanted to find out about how to craft a call to action for our marketing material, we had to pay $5,000 for this person's next program. And then I noticed how she started using all of these high-pressured sales tactics. You know, run to the back of the room, and someone would pop up immediately and start running to the back of the room. And in my brain, because I studied persuasion, I just think to myself, oh man, that's a plant. And it was really just ratcheting up the emotional frenzy. And I'll admit, she sold a lot of product, not to me, but I also know from watching these high pressured sales pitches or selling from the stage that there's a lot of buyer's remorse that happens after the presentation has ended. Quite recently, I saw someone sell $1,000 conference from the stage, and then about a week later, I noticed a lot of people trying to sell their tickets because of that emotional frenzy. And so with Speak Up for Your Business, I wanted to create a different way for entrepreneurs to really start selling from the stage. And this quotation from Seth Godin was my impetus for that. A presentation that doesn't seek to make change is a waste of time and energy. A presentation that doesn't seek to make change is a waste of time and energy. And the change that Seth Godin is talking about is not getting someone else's money into your back pocket, but instead thinking about how your message can serve people and they don't ever have to buy a thing from you. Because for me, I really do believe that communication can change the world, and that if we can stand up and get our message out and create a ton of value that we get people excited about, that they run home and do something with the presentation that we just gave them, then that is a huge win, because then it becomes about creating a relationship with your audience. Because I believe in this notion of a transformative talk. And it's different from selling from the stage. It's, different from signature talks. But it is a way of speaking where we're not thinking about how we're going to sell someone, but we're thinking about 3 questions. And write these 3 questions down, because they're a good place to start when you want to do a presentation or you have an opportunity to speak to a group or to do a webinar or sales presentation. The first question is, what do I want my audience to know? So what knowledge am I creating for my audience? So question number 1 for a transformative talk is, what do I want my audience to know? The second is, what do I want my audience to do? And as entrepreneurs, it'd be easy to say, well, buy from me, of course, buy my $1,000 program. But for this question, it's about the change you want to bring about in your audience. So the second question is, what do you want your audience to do? What change are you giving them? And then the final question that I think is super important is, how do you want the audience to feel after they have heard you speak? Because honestly, folks, persuasion is all about feeling. Persuasion really is about feeling. Do you want to leave people feeling inspired, happy, mad as hell, and they're just not going to take it anymore? But what do you want people to feel? And that is the basis of a transformative talk, because it is about not selling and transforming the audience. And I say that with this slight caveat that it is okay to still offer your audience something, but it has to be the next natural step in their relationship with you. So it's okay to offer your audience something, but it has to be the next natural step. And I really liken this to dating. Like if you go out, you meet someone on Match.com, go out on a coffee date with them, and in 5 minutes they start talking about your future kids and your wedding plans. That's a little bit too much. That's not the next natural step in a relationship. But if you go out, and speakers do this all the time, they get up on that stage, they give a 20-minute talk, and then offer their $1,000 product. And that's just like meeting someone for the first time and then wanting to get married to them. It just doesn't work that way. So it is about deepening that relationship with the people who hear you speak. So always be thinking about them, because presentations are always, always, always about the audience. They're never about you. And in some ways, I have really viewed myself as a passionate advocate for the audience, because those are the people that you serve. And so everything you do in that presentation is there for their benefit, and just keep that in mind. And there's a whole section in the book about how to get to know your audience. But the great news is that as an entrepreneur or a business owner, you know these people pretty well already. If you're a few years along in business and you have a well-defined target market or niche or whatever you want to call it, customer avatar, is starting to use that information to get to know the people who you serve. So it's all about the audience and their transformation. And the way that we create value for the audience is also important. And I really feel that the online world has a most wonderful grasp on this idea about creating value for your audience. There's a man named David Siteman Garland, and he runs a website called Rise to the Top, and he's an expert in online marketing. And he really believes that you should put cats in every one of your videos that you do, or not really, just kidding, but cats, always a good thing. But what he does whenever he is launching a new course or putting something out into the world, he is very focused on creating a lot of value, so that if you attend one of his free webinars, you walk away with something that you can implement in your business immediately. He makes sure that he gives you some great nuggets, so that whether you buy from him or you don't buy from him, it doesn't really matter. But he's created a lot of value, so you can go implement his teachings and his experience into your business and start seeing results. And what's brilliant about this approach is that when you give away some of your best ideas and your best content, it basically starts a persuasive trigger called reciprocity, right? That when we do something for someone else, they feel moved to pay us back in kind. And it's not like tit for tat reciprocity just because you give your best ideas away for free. Like people are going to sign up for your newsletter, or sign up for your free consultation, or whatever it is you're offering, like they're robots that are driven. But what happens is they start to remember you and remember the difference that you made. So the next time that they're thinking about, like for David, online marketing or how to create an awesome online course, when they think about doing something like that, they think about him and go back to him. So the key takeaway for this is give your best ideas away for free. Give your best ideas away for free. And this is how you create incredible change for your audience, because you're not holding back. And when I say this, I typically get some pushback from the entrepreneurs that I work with, like, Michelle, if I give my best ideas away for free, they're not going to hire me. And frankly, that is not true, because that assumes that there is a scarcity of ideas in your head, that there's only a finite amount of value or knowledge that you bring. But honestly, the best idea that you give away in a presentation, there is always more where that came from. Say it with me. There are always more ideas where that came from. And when you start working with people and getting into their business, or if you're a life coach, getting into their lives and their goals, then you're going to find other ideas and you're going to create more value. So don't be afraid to give your best ideas away for free when you're talking to people, because they're going to be wondering, hey, I wonder what else is in her bag of tricks, because there's always more where that came from. So do it. Just give your best ideas away for free, and that is where value is created, and that is how relationships are formed with your audience. So this is my one piece of counterintuitive advice for your business. Now, in the next section, we're going to be talking about something very tactical that I believe all businesses need, whether you're giving a presentation or a webinar or a sales video. It's super important. But what I want to do next is another giveaway. This time it will be for a signed copy of my book. I'm using my random number generator again. And it's number 21. And let's see. Let's see who that is. That'll be very... So number 21 is one of my two Vickies, which doesn't really help much. So I will go with, I'm going to randomly choose. I will go with Vicki from Houston, because that's what I'm seeing, right? Or South Houston. So Vicki from Houston, you are the winner of a signed copy. So please email me, because I have to mail that to you. So I will sign that and get that to you in the mail. So congratulations. Yay. And she's excited. Yippee. And, oh, so Conroy. Okay, I can give the book to Vicki and Conroy. I'm hoping that's right. I'm hoping I'm saying that right. And once again, if you have any questions about anything I've said so far, then please do ask. We will have one more giveaway towards the end of this party celebration of the book launch. But next, I really want to get into one of my favorite topics, and that is storytelling. And you're welcome, Vicki from Conroy, for winning the book. That's awesome. I'm excited to get it to you. So let's talk about storytelling and why this is one of my favorite things in the world to talk about for businesses, is because storytelling is so powerful. because I believe that, especially in the online world and even the offline world, there are so many choices for us. If you are looking for, let's say, a graphic designer, there are thousands of graphic designers that you could choose from. And for me, how I navigate the world and figure out who I want to do business with is by the story that they are going to be telling. Like, what is their business story? And stories are, human beings are wired for story. And when we hear a story from another person, we start relating that story to ourselves. Have I had a similar experience? And that's why when you tell a story and somebody goes, oh, I know exactly what you mean, and they launch into their own story, is because stories really invade our brain. And there might be 1,000 graphic designers out there or 1,000,000 life coaches, but your story is what makes you stand out in business. And there are 3 stories that you should be keeping in your back pocket at all times as a business owner. So, and these stories should be on your website. You should be telling them at networking events. You should be obviously speaking about them if you're giving presentations. They should be a part of your webinars because that's how important they are. We're going to buy from you based on your personality and that we like you and we feel like we know you. So let's get into those 3 stories that your business needs to succeed. The first story is the mission ignition story. And I'm sure many of you are familiar with Simon Sinek's TED Talk, Start With Why, where basically he says that we humans or we consumers buy because we know a company's why. So why they started that business. What are they doing in that business? Or why they're doing it and how they're doing it in their business. But everything feeds back into that why statement. So if people don't know, people won't buy until they know your why, how do you get your why out into the world? And the best way to do that is telling your mission ignition story. So for me, to give you an example of a why story, for me, the reason I'm a speech designer and why I love working with clients on refining their message and getting it out into the world is because I truly believe that communication changes the world. And the reason I believe that is because growing up, my mom raised me on a diet of John F. Kennedy and Martin Luther King. And I saw these great communicators and I knew what they were doing in the world. And I knew that if you could speak your message and get your ideas out of your head, that you could create change in people's lives. In fact, I went so far as when I was 5 years old, I wanted to be a politician when I grew up. I was pretty naive because clearly politicians don't help change the world, but that's what I thought. And that's my mission, my why, is because this is my core belief, my core viewpoint, and it feeds everything that I do. So in business, get clear on your mission ignition story so that you can tell it. And at the very least, if you have a website, it needs to be on your website somewhere, your about page, or the about your business page. But put your mission story in there. It's very important and it's very, very compelling. And in the book, I take you through a story process to write these stories that you can use in presentations or webinars. And unfortunately, we won't have time to get through that today, but know that it's in the book. So that's the first one, the mission ignition story. The second story your business absolutely needs is your own turning point story. As entrepreneurs and business owners, we're considered experts in what we do, right? Like, you wouldn't be listening to this webinar if I knew nothing about communication. Or you wouldn't go to a chiropractor if he wasn't really a chiropractor, because I think that's a recipe for danger. But all of us on this webinar, we did not start as experts. I was not born with a PhD in communication and speaking for over 10,000 hours. That was not me. In fact, in high school, I was very shy and terrified, and I'll never forget my first public speaking class. It was horrific. It was in front of the boy that I liked in high school. And the first speech I ever gave, I was shaking. I was sweating profusely, and my knees were knocking under the table. I pretty much read my speech at light speed and sat back down because I just wanted it over. It was really awful. And I got like the pity C in the class because, you know, you don't want to discourage people too much and be like, wow, you really suck at this public speaking thing. But I really, truly did. But in the back of my mind, I knew speaking was important. So I took another class. I took advanced public speaking. I joined the speech and debate team, where every Saturday morning I woke up at 6 a.m., got on a bus, went somewhere in the state of Colorado, competed, got my butt kicked, and then went home. And then just got more coaching from my teacher, from my peers, and really worked it. And I went to like 15 tournaments that first year. And I never won and I never placed, but I started to learn and grow. And eventually things clicked for me. And I'll never forget that moment when they finally did. And I went to my last tournament of the year at Greeley West High School, and I didn't win, but I got an honorable mention. So that was exciting. But that's my turning point story, that I wasn't good at what I do now and what I love, but through hard work and passion and drive and getting lots of feedback and doing lots of speaking, I was able to master this craft, and now I can help others with it. And that's my turning point story. And why that's an important story for people to know is because if they see me speak, they'll think, oh, well, she's always been good at public speaking. And that's not the case. We all start from zero. In fact, I was at World Domination Summit this past weekend, and one of the speakers, her name was Yada, and she runs a website called Simple Green Smoothies. She was talking about the fact that we all start at zero. And it's really the struggle that people identify with. So your turning point story is your struggle and how you overcame that struggle. So that's an important one to be telling. It's always great to have that like on a video on a website or on YouTube, but that story is what people are going to relate to, and they're going to want to be a part of your business and what you have to offer because they know you're just like them, and that's what they want to hear. The third and final story is probably my favorite story to tell because it's not a story about you or about coming up with your why or about, you know, how you got good at your business, but it's about how you change the lives of your clients. And this is the stunning results story. My favorite stunning results story, it's highlighted in the book, but it comes from a friend of mine. Her name is Rebecca West, and she owns a company called Rivoli Design. She's an interior designer. And she has this big idea that if you change your environment, you change your life. And I'll never forget when she told me the story of a client that she had. She met this guy, and he just had been dumped. Like, his woman left him, took all the furnishings in the house, pretty much broke his heart, and left him with a mattress on the floor. So he hired Rebecca to come in and at first redo his bedroom, because everywhere he looked, this guy just saw his ex-girlfriend everywhere in his apartment, and he was anxious and he couldn't sleep, and it was really awful. So Rebecca came in and she basically created a bedroom that was like a cocoon that he could sleep and heal in. And it was very warm and inviting. And she did, she got the place decorated, and then the next day she was going to come over and talk to him about the next room she was going to help him with. And she showed up at 10 a.m. and rang the doorbell, and no answer. And then knocked on the door, and there was still no answer. And finally he comes stumbling down the stairs, like with the bed head, really looking all a mess, and opened the door and said, "That's the first time I slept through the night in months. Thank you." And what an amazing result to share. So the stunning results stories are the ones that other people relate to. They show like what your business can do for people, but they showcase the problem you solve and the results that you get for your clients. So these stories are great, obviously, to talk about in presentations or in books that you write, but even networking events. You can write a very quick story for an elevator pitch and put it in the elevator pitch to highlight what you do. So my challenge for you in finding these stunning results stories is to go back through the testimonials you collected. And if you haven't started collecting testimonials about what you do in business, then you need to start. And start looking for those stunning results and telling those stories, because they are the most valuable asset that you have in your business. So highlighting that struggle that the person came with you with, the action you took, and then the resolution. That will really engage people's brains. So those are the 3 stories you should be telling in business. And I would love to see if you guys have any questions, because I know this was a lot of information. So take a moment, and if you have a question about public speaking or storytelling or book writing or any of it, I'm happy to answer that. And while that's coming to you over the interwebs, I am just going to tell you a little bit about my book. Obviously, we've been talking, all of the information that I've shared with you today is a big part of that book. I wanted to give some of my best tips away for free, and I'll pop in a little offer. You can grab the book on Amazon. It's $4.99 on Kindle, and I hope it's displaying right now. And I would be honored if you would buy it. but it's been very well received. It's actually a pretty funny book about public speaking. I put a lot of humor and my own personality in it, and I know it's going to help any entrepreneur start promoting their business more, whether it's public speaking or webinars or videos or networking. This book is really going to help people. So with that, do we have any questions yet? Questions? And we do have one more giveaway as well. So I'll be doing that in just a moment. So. Oh, this is a great question from Joni. If you are just beginning your business and you don't have any stunning results yet, what should you do? And this is this is an awesome question. And there's a couple of things you can do. One of the things what I did when I first started out is I did a lot of freebie stuff. I would ask people if they wanted presentation coaching or if they wanted some help, and then basically got my results from those people. I heard another suggestion from another entrepreneur that she asked people like what you're really good at, and have people write testimonials around what you're great at and what you've helped them with in the past. So you can start finding those stories. You really just need to start getting clients in the door or paid or unpaid, and start getting those stunning results stories. Okay, Masood, I will give you my email address in just a moment, and I hope, Joni, that answered your question. So just get started. Esther, start asking people, anyone that you've ever helped with what your business is related to, and see if they can tell you how you changed their lives. Ime is going to have a question in a moment. Ooh, Tracy asked the question. Can you give an example of a feeling you left an audience with? Yes, I definitely can. I tend to be more of an inspirational, I don't want to say inspirational, motivational speaker, but I always want to leave my audience with that feeling of like, hey, I can do this. Because public speaking is a really scary thing for a lot of people. And it's hard. It's a vulnerable place. You feel like people are judging you. That thought of like, oh my God, what if I forget everything? Or what if I just ramble on? Like, it's really difficult for people. And for me, I just want them to have that feeling of like, I've got this. So it's that confidence that I want to leave people with. So that's a great example of a feeling. I've also seen speakers, when they want you to like take action, they can leave you with the feeling of urgency, of like someone has to do something about this problem. Like last weekend at World Domination Summit, one of the speakers was talking about women's rights and violence against women, especially like in Afghanistan, and really leaving that feeling of almost being like disgusted and angry, but wanting to do something. So motivating from that point. So that is something that an audience, you can leave an audience with a feeling with. And in the book, I give actually like a list of feelings that you might want to engender in the audience. Okay. Ime writes, ooh, this is a really good question. What if you can't share your stunning results, i.e. confidentiality issues? And I know Ime, and she is a very talented therapist. And for you, Ime, I think the key is not to tell those stunning results stories, because you really can't. And I would say for you, it's going to have to be focusing on the other two stories, like your mission ignition story. Why did you become a therapist? Why do you want to serve the people that you serve? Why do you want to help? And also your own turning point story. That's going to be what attracts people to you. And if you ever get into coaching, which I know is something that you would like, then you can start telling those stories. But for right now, especially you don't want to get in trouble with any like laws and HIPAA agreements, don't share those stunning results stories. So I hope that kind of helped, but I hope it wasn't too confusing. And yes, Joni, I did record this session, and I'm glad that you would love to share it with those who could not join. That is so awesome. Yay. And going back to, yes, I'm retyping my email for Masood and Vicky to claim their prizes because I typed my email in incorrectly. Talk about imperfect communication, right? And I can't type apparently today. Okay, this one should work, Masood and Vicky, for you to email me at. So we have a few minutes left before the last drawing. Do any of you have any questions? And I do have a question. Can you all see the pop-in for the book? Because it was supposed to display, and I'm not seeing it from my end. Oh yeah, there it is. Never mind. I see it. No worries. And you're welcome, Ime, for answering your question. All right, I'm going to give it a few more seconds, and we will start wrapping up. But, you know, really, my message to you today is to go out there and create change for people. Because as business owners, your job is to serve. I mean, that's what we do. I don't care if you're a plumber or you bake cupcakes or you're a therapist or a life coach, but our business is there for us to serve. And Joni says, yes, that's awesome. So please go today and buy the book. It's $4.99 on Amazon. And I would really appreciate your support. And now it is time, and I'm going to switch back over so you guys can actually see me again. Maybe if I can actually control my computer. Hi guys, it's me again. Oh, Amanda says, thank you for your time and best ideas. Well, thank you, Amanda. I really appreciate you showing up. So now it's the moment that you've all been waiting for. It is the private coaching session with me. It's going to be a 45-minute session, and we can talk about anything with your messaging. So whether it's a presentation or you're working on a webinar or a sales video, or I've even done like things where I look at people's like about pages and help them figure out how to tell their story a little bit better. It's really going to be up to you and what you want to do. So I'm going to go to the random number generator and generate a results. All right. And let's see. The winner of the 45-minute free session is Allison. Allison, you have won. Congratulations. I'm very excited for you. And please, 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 Allison. Oh, please, 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 Allison, email me at michelle@drmichellemazur.com and we will get something set up for you. And as for me, I just wanted to thank you all. And I said on Facebook there would be champagne, and I actually have champagne to celebrate my book launch. And it is called Michelle Extra Dry. I'm not exactly dry, but I love that my name is literally on the bottle. And I'm going to be enjoying popping my champagne and celebrating the launch of this book. So thank you so much for being here. Go out and speak up for your business. Make crazy change and serve people. Get your message and your ideas out there because we need you in order to change the world. Thank you and have a wonderful rest of your day.